Number 10. Posting constant updates online. It starts innocently. A photo, a caption, a quick story about your day. But soon, you notice the rhythm of your life syncing with the rhythm of your uploads. Every meal becomes a moment to share. Every sunset, a chance to perform. You stop asking, "Do I enjoy this?" and start wondering, "How will it look online?" The camera lens becomes your mirror and likes your heartbeat. Somewhere deep down, there's an ache. The fear that if you don't post it, it never really happened. The truth is, constant posting isn't always about attention. It's about existence. In a world moving at light speed, silence feels like death. We think if we disappear from the feed, we disappear from memory. Each post becomes a small resurrection, proof that we're still here, still relevant, still seen. But what we don't notice is the quiet exchange happening beneath the surface. Every moment we upload, we also outsource a piece of our identity. The digital reflection becomes more alive than the person who made it. Slowly, life starts to orbit around validation. A day without likes feels incomplete, even if the real day was beautiful. You begin performing happiness instead of feeling it. And when no one reacts, the silence of others becomes unbearable, as if the world forgot you for a second too long. That's the hidden tragedy of constant sharing. It keeps you visible, but never present. You exist everywhere except where you are. The cure isn't withdrawal, it's remembrance. You're not your updates. The best parts of you can't be measured in pixels or hearts. Some moments are meant to live only once, unposted, unrecorded, unperformed. Because being unseen doesn't mean being forgotten, it means being real. Number 9. Over-tagging friends in every memory. You click tag before you even finish smiling. It's automatic, a digital reflex. Every photo becomes a roll call of names. Every moment a public declaration that you were not alone. At first, it feels harmless, even affectionate, proof of belonging. But somewhere along the way, it shifts. You start tagging not because you want to remember your friends, but because you're terrified they'll forget you. When you overtag every memory, you turn connection into insurance. The photo isn't just about joy, it's a reminder. I exist in your story too. You hope that by attaching yourself to every frame, you'll never fade from theirs. But the irony is cruel. The more you force yourself into others' moments, the less genuine those moments become. Friendship becomes a performance, a collage of curated smiles meant to prove something invisible, that you matter enough to be remembered. Psychologists call it associative validation, tying your worth to how often you appear in other people's narratives. But it's not closeness, it's camouflage. You blend into everyone's feed while slowly disappearing from your own. Every tag, every post, every mention starts to whisper the same question. Would they still think of me if I wasn't in the picture? The truth? You don't need to tag yourself into permanence. The people who carry you in their hearts don't need reminders. They remember in silence, in moments no algorithm can see. Try letting one photo breathe without a tag. Let it be just yours. Because real connection isn't about proving you were there. It's about knowing you still are, even when no one's watching. Number 8. Saving every small memento. You keep them tucked away. Ticket stubs, dried flowers, screenshots, text messages, receipts from coffee shops that don't even exist anymore. To anyone else, they're scraps. To you, they're anchors. Tiny, fragile proofs that something once mattered, that you once mattered. Each memento whispers, "This happened and I was there." It's not hoarding, you tell yourself. It's memory preservation. But the truth is quieter. Sometimes it's fear. Fear that if you throw it away, the moment, or the person, will vanish completely. We all save pieces of our past, but when every small object becomes sacred, it's rarely about nostalgia. It's about control. When people drift away, when life moves too fast, the objects stay obedient. They never leave without saying goodbye. You hold them like time machines, hoping they'll teleport you back to when things felt full, before the emptiness crept in. But what we forget is that memory, like love, decays in captivity. The tighter you hold it, the faster it fades. That's the paradox of keeping everything. It stops you from keeping yourself. You become the curator of ghosts, preserving fragments of emotions that no longer fit who you've become. And though the drawer may be full, your heart remains half empty, cluttered with echoes instead of presence. Try this once. Let one thing go. Watch how nothing truly disappears. The memory stays, reshaped by absence, softer, more human. Because the past doesn't live in things, it lives in the pulse that moves you forward. Sometimes the bravest way to remember is to release, to trust that what's real won't need proof to survive. Number 7. Repeating old stories for attention. You've told that story before, the one that always lands, always makes people laugh, or pause, or look at you just a little longer. You can feel the rhythm of it in your bones now. The setup, the pause, the punchline, the applause. It's muscle memory. But somewhere deep down, you know it's not about the story anymore. It's about the silence that follows when you stop telling it. The fear that If you don't keep reminding people who you were, they might forget who you are. Repetition is comfort. When life feels uncertain, the past is a safe stage. No mistakes, no surprises, just the certainty of recognition. But when every gathering becomes another rerun of your greatest hits, the story stops being a bridge and starts becoming a shield. You hide behind your own echoes because they guarantee attention. Yet every retelling drains the magic from the moment you're trying to preserve. The story gets louder, but you fade a little more inside it. Psychologists call it identity looping, replaying familiar moments to stabilize self-worth. You chase the same validation until it becomes currency. But what it really buys is distance. People stop listening because they've already memorized the lines. And when they look away, the silence feels unbearable again, so you tell it once more. There's nothing wrong with remembering, but when remembering becomes a performance, you stop growing. Try retiring one story, not because it's irrelevant, but because you've already lived it. Let the silence after it breathe. That's where the next version of you begins, not in repetition, but in renewal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is something no one's heard before, including yourself. Number 6. Always volunteering for visible roles. There's a certain thrill in raising your hand first. The moment everyone turns, the eyes land on you, and for an instant, the room feels warmer. You tell yourself it's about leadership, contribution, purpose. But sometimes, buried beneath those noble words, is a quieter truth. You don't want to be forgotten when the applause fades. Visibility feels like safety. If they can see you, maybe they won't let you disappear. You become the dependable one, the face on every poster, the voice at every meeting, the presence in every event. At first, it feels empowering. You're useful, needed, seen. But over time, the visibility becomes a cage disguised as a spotlight. You start confusing attention for affection and busyness for worth. Every yes becomes another brick in a wall you can't rest behind. You volunteer not because you have energy, but because invisibility terrifies you more than exhaustion. The danger of always being visible is that people stop seeing you fully. They see the performer, the contributor, the achiever, but not the person quietly cracking beneath the weight of constant relevance. When everything you do is public, you forget how to exist privately. You stop doing things just for yourself because if no one witnesses it, it doesn't feel real. But real fulfillment doesn't glow under fluorescent lights. It hums quietly in the dark, where no one's watching. Try saying no once, not out of defiance, but as an act of self-trust. Let someone else take the stage while you rediscover the joy of being unseen. Because sometimes the most memorable souls are the ones who can vanish gracefully, not from life, but from the endless need to prove they're still in it. Number 5. Checking. Who viewed your status posts? You post something small, a story, a reel, a line that feels harmless. But before the moment even settles, your thumb drifts upward, refreshing, waiting, counting. You don't check because you're curious, you check because you're afraid. Afraid of what it means if no one sees you. Each view becomes a tiny pulse of reassurance. I exist in someone else's world today, but that feeling fades faster than it arrives, so you check again and again, until the silence between views starts to hum like anxiety. What you're really measuring isn't engagement, it's presence. You want proof that you still live in people's peripheral vision, that your name still flickers somewhere in their attention. But that kind of validation is a mirage. You can scroll through 100 names and still feel invisible, because being seen isn't the same as being remembered. Visibility is instant. Connection takes time. Psychologists call this the mirror refresh loop, a behavioral spiral where attention becomes oxygen. Every unseen story feels like a suffocation. You start curating yourself to attract views, not to express truth. The tragedy is that you become more visible, yet less authentic. The performance expands while the person inside it withers quietly. Next time you catch yourself checking, pause. Let the uncertainty breathe. The number of viewers can't define your worth any more than applause defines a song. You're not a metric, you are a moment. Fleeting, beautiful, and far too alive to be measured by a list of names that looked but didn't truly see. Number 4. Recording everything instead of living it. You lift your phone before your heart even reacts. The sunrise, the laughter, the first dance. Your instinct isn't to feel it, but to frame it. You don't live the moment. You capture it for later, as if memory itself can't be trusted without proof. Somewhere along the line, we stopped believing that an experience was real unless it existed on a screen. The tragedy isn't that we record, it's that we trade presence for preservation. When you record everything, you become an archivist instead of a participant. You watch life through the glass you're holding. The air smells different when you aren't trying to document it. The light looks softer when it's just for your eyes. But that purity disappears in the chase to save it. What you really fear isn't forgetting the moment, it's being forgotten by it. You want to matter enough that life remembers you back. Yet, the irony is cruel. The more you record, the less you retain. Scientists call it the photo-taking impairment effect. Our brains stop encoding details when we outsource memory to devices. We don't trust ourselves to remember joy, so we trap it in pixels, only to scroll past it years later numb to the very thing we thought we'd saved. The cure isn't to stop recording forever, it's to ask why before you hit record. Are you capturing it to relive it or to prove it happened? Sometimes the most sacred moments vanish precisely because they're supposed to. Let them. Memory doesn't live in your gallery, it lives in your body and in the way a scent, a sound, a shiver can replay a whole lifetime. Don't just film the light, stand in it. Number 3. Over-explaining achievements to others. You tell someone about something good, a promotion, a project, a small victory, and then instantly feel the need to justify it. You add context, details, disclaimers. It's not a big deal really, or I just got lucky, or it's not as impressive as it sounds. You can't let the moment breathe. You fill every silence with explanation because part of you doesn't believe you deserve to be celebrated without proving why. That's the hidden wound of those afraid of being forgotten. We mistake validation for understanding. We want others not only to notice our success, but to grasp it fully, to record it somewhere in their mental ledger of who we are. Over-explaining becomes a ritual of reassurance. If they know the details, they'll remember the depth. But in truth, it has the opposite effect. The more you explain, the less people feel. You turn your light into a lecture, and the moment that was supposed to glow becomes analysis. Psychologists call it self-justification looping, a way of shrinking your own joy until it feels safe enough to share. You explain because you fear envy, misunderstanding, or dismissal. But often, what you're really afraid of is fading back into the crowd once the conversation ends. So you keep talking, not to brag, but to cling. You don't owe the world an essay every time you rise. Some moments are meant to stand unguarded. Let people misunderstand you. Let your wins be quiet. True confidence doesn't come from making others see your worth. It comes from not needing to repeat it. Remember, the universe doesn't ask the sun to justify its brightness. It just lets it shine. Number 2, needing constant replies to feel validated. You send a message, and then wait. The clock ticks louder than usual. You stare at the screen, those 3 tiny dots, typing, pausing, vanishing. Your brain begins writing a story around the silence. Did I say something wrong? Are they bored of me? Do they even care? What was just a pause in someone's day becomes a test of your worth. That's the quiet curse of the reply obsession. We mistake responsiveness for relevance. A fast reply feels like a heartbeat from the world. A delayed one feels like rejection. But this isn't about conversation anymore. It's about survival, about the terror of vanishing from someone's mind. Each unanswered text feels like proof that you've slipped out of their circle of importance. Our ancestors feared exile from the tribe. We fear being left unseen. The pain triggers the same ancient panic. Your nervous system can't tell the difference. To the brain, silence is abandonment. So you double text, overthink, apologize for nothing, hoping to patch an imaginary wound. But all it does is deepen it. Validation through replies is a mirage. It keeps moving the closer you chase it. Real connection doesn't live in instant responses. It lives in trust. The quiet knowing that you don't vanish when someone's busy living. When you let go of that grip, you'll notice something incredible. The silence stops being rejection and starts being space. You don't need every echo to feel seen. You don't need every reply to prove you matter. Because the people who truly value you aren't watching the clock. They're keeping you in their heart even when their phone is face down. Number 1. Talking excessively about legacy or being remembered. Some people chase fame, others chase forever. You talk about legacy, about what you'll leave behind, the mark you'll make, the way the world will whisper your name after you're gone. It sounds noble, visionary even, but sometimes, hidden beneath that ambition is fear. Not fear of death, but fear of deletion. The terror that one day, nothing will echo back. Legacy can be a beautiful purpose or a quiet prison. You start building monuments out of moments, curating every action to fit a story that will outlive you. You shape yourself like a statue meant for future eyes, polishing away the flaws that made you human. But legacy built from fear isn't creation, it's preservation. You're not living for today, you're editing for eternity. The truth is, even the brightest names fade, empires crumble, books burn, and stars themselves eventually collapse. But what truly endures isn't carved in stone. It's felt in hearts. It's the smile you left on a stranger. The idea that sparked in someone you'll never meet. Legacy isn't built by talking about it. It's built quietly, in the way you live when no one's recording. When you stop trying to be remembered, you begin to matter. Because the present, this single breath, this heartbeat, this moment, is the only time that ever really belongs to you. The paradox is simple. When you live fully now, the universe remembers you without your permission. So stop chasing immortality through echoes. Let the memory take care of itself. Because the ones who are truly unforgettable never try to be. They just are.